What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sport with Jake. Hope all doing well. Start out with a little bit of football before we get into all the NHL moves, all the trades that have been happening, and then we will get into basketball and the NBA draft. First round from last night. So, the NFL is not going to hold the supplemental draft. So, let me explain what that is and what that means for Brendan Sorsby. So, what the supplemental draft is, it is a draft who's for college players who their eligibility change after the NFL draft happened in prior to the NFL season. Typically, it's academic issues. Like NCAA does have academic standards in place. Like if your GPA, it doesn't have to be high, but like if it's below like maybe like a 2 or something, it's like great, you're not even trying academically. You can be made ineligible if you get disciplined, you off the field stuff, if you break team rule, you get into a fight, now you get arrested, or other stuff that happens. Obviously, Sorsby has the issue with the gambling. Like that can make them ineligible potentially for the actual NFL draft. So they go into the supplemental draft, which happens in the springtime. So it happens, basically right before the season, like during camp before the season. And to be eligible, players have to apply to the league office. They have to get approved. The league does not have to host the draft every single year. In fact, they have not hosted it in 7 years since 2019. If I think either there's not enough prospects who qualify for the draft, like there's only going to be like 2 or 3 players. There's no point of doing it. They won't do it. Or if the applications are too complex, like if the guys just have too much baggage, like I don't want any part of this player. You want if you earn a spot in the NFL next year if they're a draft, fine. Otherwise, sorry, Charlie. Then they can cancel it, which they have for 7 years in a row now. It's not a traditional draft; it's a bidding process. Teams play secret bids on players. By secret means like the public doesn't know, other teams don't know until it actually happens. Well, they can submit a bid in a certain round of the draft. Whatever round they bid on, they lose that pick in the NFL draft. For example, if a team bids a third round pick in the supplemental draft, they do not have a third. They won't have a third round pick in the 2027 NFL draft. If they were to be a 2026 supplemental draft, if you don't have a pick in that round in the NFL draft, you can't make a bid with that pick in supplemental draft. So a team that does not have a second round pick in the 2027 draft cannot bid in the second round in the supplemental draft the season before. And then if multiple teams bid on the same player, whoever bid the highest round wins. If it's the same round, then it's a comes down to the win-loss system. If you had a team who has six or fewer wins, is going to take precedent, similar to like the NFL draft. It's obviously the reverse standings order. If the multiple teams that bid on the same player in the same round don't meet that criteria, it's just the remaining non-playoff teams. After that, it's just the playoff teams. If the teams are all playoff teams, then it's just a random lottery for who wins the player. Supplemental draft, again, has not been held since 2019, 7 years ago. There are a couple of players who have come through in the past that have had successful careers. Chris Carter is one of the greatest receivers of all time, top 10 to 15 receiver of all time, Hall of Famer, was a supplemental draft pick way back in the day. Bernie Kosar was a great quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Browns also got Josh Gordon in the supplemental draft. Of course, he had all the things that destroyed his career, but at one point was looking like the next elite receiver in the league. Had that one crazy year where he was the best wide receiver in the NFL in like 2013. So the league was expected to hold it this year. Swarsby was going to enter it. He was expected to be a second or third round pick in that draft. And the league said, psych, we are canceling it, which honestly is kind of hilarious. And just sweeping it from under Brendan Sorsby's feet. He's probably pissed at his lawyers. Like, why'd you make me drop the lawsuit to go into this thing that wasn't going to happen? So now he has to test his luck in the 2027 NFL draft in what is expected to be a very deep quarterback class, one of the deepest we've seen in a lot of years. And there's a chance he's not going to be able to play this year. He will probably reopen that lawsuit and try to get some eligibility. I do not think he is going to win, but he can try. And it's like he already has his baggage, plus he not having played this year. The best season that he's had was at Cincinnati last year. Going up against all these other, high quality prospects who have played multiple years in a row on high quality teams, played high quality opponents. Guys like, Arch Manning at Texas, Sam Levitt is at LSU this year. You have Darian Mensah. You've got Lenora Sauer potentially maybe at South Carolina. Could be an option. So there's a lot of quarterbacks in his upcoming draft that could be options for teams that are just safer and probably even better prospects than Brendan Sorsby. He would have probably been like a 3 or 4, like quarterback 3 or 4. If he didn't get in trouble and it was a traditional prospect, he could have been a first round pick. Then after the stuff happened, like, all right, maybe he's like the 8th, the 10th quarterback off the board. It could be like a 5th or a 6th round pick. Now he's lucky if he gets drafted at all. I think at best case, he's a day 3 pick, maybe late 5th or early 6th round pick, if I had to guess. But he might not even get drafted at all. If he had this situation and he went in last year's draft, he probably could have been one of the 4 or 5 quarterbacks off the board. He could have went in the 4th or the 5th round pretty comfortably. But in this year's class, he'd be lucky if he gets drafted at all at this point. So supplemental draft not going to be held. So Sorsby, take that, you stupid loser. But Kyle Pitts is the last. It's the last thing I'm going to talk about with football. Kyle Pitts has been re-signed by the Atlanta Falcons, 3 years, $54 million, $36 million guaranteed. Pitts last year had a great year, 88 catches, 920 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Pitts is a weird player, was of course drafted 4th overall in the 2021 draft by the Atlanta Falcons. Had a great rookie year, 68 catches for 1,026 yards, only the 1 touchdown, but had 1,000 yards as a rookie to tight end. It's very rare. Had a few seasons consecutive where he wasn't very good. Production-wise, had some injuries. 2022, just 28 catches for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns, ended up getting hurt. 2023, 53 catches, 607 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2024, 47 catches, 602 yards and 4 touchdowns. Had some drop issues. People lost a lot of confidence in him. But much better year in 2025. By far the most amount of catches he's had in the season, 88. Second most yards he's ever had in the season, career high in touchdowns. Much better year, one of the best years of his career. And he was franchise tagged by the Falcons after the year, and he agrees on a multi-year extension with the Atlanta Falcons. They need some sort of weapons there, and they keep Kyle Pitts in town for the next 3 years. That went down in the MHL, some pretty crazy ones in terms of the compensation going each way, considering the players. So let's get into it. The Washington Capitals and St. Louis Blues make a pretty big trade. Capitals acquire Jordan Kyrou from the St. Louis Blues, a former All-Star center. In return, they send Connor McMichael, Milton Gastrin, and the 16th overall pick in this year's draft that takes place this Friday, which is when the first round is for the NHL draft. So a pretty big trade. Alex Ovechkin, of course, the league's all-time winning goal scorer. Capitals great, NHL great. He is considering retiring. He's not expected to make a decision until after July 1st when free agency starts. But he is considering retiring. If I had to guess, he comes back and plays another year, and that'll probably be it for him. But he is considering retiring. So I wonder if the Capitals think he's going to retire and think, let's get a player, because Kyrie plays the same position as him, I think, or I think it doesn't matter. But that's why they're getting up these assets to get a guy like this, a guy in Kyrie who's only going to be 28 years old. Really great player. Wasn't great last year compared to the previous 2 years. Last year, 18 goals, 20 assists, 46 points in 72 games. His previous last 4 seasons before that had 27 goals, 48 assists, 75 points in 22, was an all-star in 23, 37 goals, 73 points in 24, 31 goals, 67 points, and 25 had 36 goals and 70 points. But he's a really good player, was on the Blues Stanley Cup team from a few years back, and he gets traded to the Washington Capitals and go in the other direction. Connor McMichael goes to St. Louis. McMichael is a very good player, going to be 26 this coming season. Last year, we had a good year, 14 goals and 46 points. The year before that, had 26 goals and 57 points. So he's a good player. He goes the other way. Milton Gastrin is a prospect that is heading to the St. Louis Blues. Don't really know what he is yet. He's still just 19 years old. Was a second round pick by the Blues last year. Hasn't played a lot of hockey yet, but he is still 19 years old. He goes the other way, and the Blues get the 16th overall pick, so they get another first round pick. Overall, I think this is a good trade for the Capitals. Kyrou is a better player than McMichael. He's only 2 years older. They get the better player. Gastrin is kind of a throw-in and a first-round pick. It's a fair trade for the Blues if you're looking to move Kyrou. Their team that's kind of been stuck in neutral really ever since the Cup team. They've been through different coaches and regimes, and guys have gotten in and out. McMichael is a good player to get back. We don't know what Gastron's going to turn into, but it's something. And you get a first round back. That's a decent return for Jordan Cairo, and this is a big pickup for the Washington Capitals. The Senators make a trade with the San Jose Sharks. They acquire William Eklund from the Sharks as well as two prospects, Brandon Sabota and Kasper Holtonen. They give the Sharks the ninth overall pick in this upcoming draft. Eklund is a good player. He's only going to be 24 next year, this coming season. 15 goals, 53 points this past season. The year before that, had 17 goals and 58 points. Good player, still really young. Prospects going the other way to the San Jose Sharks. Brendan Savaboda. He goes the other way. He is 21 years old. He's been at Boston University his last 2 years. Hasn't put up super crazy numbers at all, but he was a third round pick by Ottawa in 2023. So we don't know what he is. He's not super highly touted. Then we got Kasper Holtonen is going the other direction as well. He was a second round pick in the very same draft by the San Jose Sharks. He heads to Ottawa as well. He was in the AHL last year for the Sharks and had 16 goals and 35 points. He is 21 years old as well. So he's a relatively highly touted prospect who's a good chance he's in the NHL this season. 40 Ottawa Senators. Sharks picked the ninth pick. San Jose's obviously a team. They got some young talent. Obviously, Macklin Celebrini is an incredible player, one of the best young players in all of hockey. He's an insanely good talent. And he does need some help. And they send out Eklund, who was very good, and two prospects, but they gave a top 10 pick. I would have probably wanted to get a player in that, but they do get a top 10 pick out of it. But I would like to get a player. But I do like this for the Senators. You did just remember you got a haul for Brady Tkachuk. You got 3 firsts, including 2 in this draft. So you move the ninth pick that you get in the trade. You get a very good young player. You get a 50-point-a-year player at least who's only 24. 2 prospects, one in Holtonen who could be one of your bottom 6 forward for most of this season. So I like this for the Ottawa Senators. Another sort of happened. The Flames and the New Jersey Devils make a trade. They've been familiar with trade partners in the past. The Calgary Flames acquire defenseman Simon Nepik, excuse me, from the New Jersey Devils. They also get Maxim Tisplakov, a young player, in the deal. Heading the other way is 2 conditional first-round picks, a second-round pick in this draft in 2 days, and a prospect Etienne Morin goes to the Devils. I like this for Calgary. Nemec is a bit of a liability on the back end, but a very talented offensive defenseman. 11 goals and 26 points this year. He is still only going to be 22 years old. That's a really good young defenseman for Calgary. They pick up Tisplakov, a Russian skater. 2 years ago, the Islanders had a good year. 10 goals, 35 points. Last year, between the Islanders and the Devils, was not great. Only played 49 games, had 4 points all season. But he's still only going to be 28. Could be a decent player, maybe a third liner. And the Flames give up the picks. I think we should have got a little bit more back, honestly. Like Etienne Morin is 20. He's still 21. He's produced in the past in the QMJHL. He had 21 goals and 72 points. That was in 2023. Last year in the AHL, 42 games, had just 1 goal for Calgary's AHL team. So I don't know what he's going to be. He was a second round pick in 2023 by Calgary. Hasn't shown a whole lot yet. He's definitely a throw-in. They get the two conditional first, probably if most likely I would think if Nemec, play a certain amount of games, or a certain amount of points, so the Flames make it far enough in the playoffs. No, they'll be first round. If not, they'll probably be twos, and they get another two. So it could be two ones and a two, could end up being three twos and a throw on prospect. I would have gotten a little more if I was the Devils, but this is a good pickup for the Calgary Flames. Before we get to the NBA draft stuff, one more NHL trade that I forgot went through. Actually, a big one. The Blackhawks make a trade to the Buffalo Sabres. They acquire Bowen Byram and Jordan Greenway from the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres acquire Louis Krevler, the fourth overall pick in this draft, and a second round pick in this draft. Pick 45, so a big trade. Bowen Byram is an excellent player, one of the best young defensemen in the all of hockey. 11 goals and 42 points this past year. Year before that, 7 goals and 38 points. But he had a career year last year with Buffalo. Big part of a team that went from 15 years out of the playoffs all the way until the Eastern Conference semifinals. Gave Montreal a relatively decent run for their money in the second round. He's only going to be 25 next season. He goes to Chicago. Jordan Greenway also heads to the Chicago Blackhawks. Greenway was once considered a really top prospect. Was on that USA team that one year. Second round pick in 15 by Minnesota. Hasn't really turned out. He's had some decent seasons. His best year was 2024. Buffalo had 10 goals and 28 points in 67 games. He's had a lot of injuries. 2 seasons ago in Buffalo, played just 34 games. Last year, played just 40 games. He's played just 74 games over the last 2 seasons. Has just 14 points over the last 2 seasons. He's going to be 29, so he's a guy, if he's healthy, could be a solid bottom six guy, but that's probably his ceiling, and health is a big concern with Jordan Greenway. He heads to Chicago. In return, Chicago gets back Louis Krevler. Goes the other way to the Louis Crevier goes the other way. This is a pretty good piece. He had a relatively breakout year for the Blackhawks last year. 7 goals and 25 points. He's only going to be 25 next year. They do get a good young defenseman back in return, and they also get the fourth pick and the 45th pick. I was surprised Buffalo trade Byram. I would have probably kept him, but do get a good young player. I think he's a little bit definitely cheaper. He's about the same age. I think Byram is the better player, has a higher ceiling, but you do get a good player in return. You get the fourth overall pick, but you could get a very good player with, and you get the second round pick. So, I think it's a little bit more for Chicago, but the fourth pick is a big piece for a team that's been as bad as Chicago has for the last bunch of years. But they still have a bunch of cap space. You have a lot of young talent. Connor Bedard's an incredible player. Just got to keep him healthy. You have some other young pieces there. But fourth pick is a lot to give up. But you get a guy in Bowen Byram. They probably think the player they're getting will probably be just as good as Bowen Byram. So it's like if Bowen Byram was available at 4, they would probably take him over anybody else who's available there. So Bowen Byram to the Blackhawks in a pretty blockbuster trade. Let's talk a little basketball. First off, before we get to the draft, Lakers re-sign Austin Reaves on a 4-year deal of $185 million. I do think this is definitely an overpay, but most NBA contracts are nowadays with these scale extensions. Reaves is a good player. Last year had a career average 23 points a game and 5 assists. Shot 49% from the field, 36% from 3. For his career, he's a 36% three-point shooter. He's played 5 years in the league. Guy, you got to keep this guy healthy. He did miss 31 games this season, and most of the first-round playoff series against Houston. But he's a very good player. I don't know if he's a legit number 2. I think he's definitely a legit number 3. We'll see what happens. Now he's playing them next to Luka Doncic. Hopefully for their sake, LeBron James isn't back in LA, but he gets a monstrous deal. This absolutely monstrous. I think that's $47 million a year for Austin Reeves, which is just crazy. Austin Reeves is making $47 million a year. That's just nuts. Absolutely nuts. But they do need him. You couldn't lose him. So they're going to be 28. You got to be able to run him and Luka. Lakers have become a complete sham of what they once were. Outside of the stupid ass bubble championship, they've made it to one conference final ever since you went back to back back in 2010. I think maybe they had one or conference final in there towards the end of Kobe, but you had some really rough years, the very end of Kobe after he left. And then outside of the bubble year, which who cares? They went to one conference finals in 2023. And they got swept, got their ass kicked by Denver in that series. And this could be a step in the right direction, moving on from LeBron, actually building around Luka and Reaves. And honestly, if they did not re-sign Austin Reaves, Luka Doncic was probably gone next year too. So Luka and Reaves hopefully can now run the show in LA. Austin Reaves gets a big contract extension. He re-signs on a huge deal. Now to the NBA draft. We're going to go over the major picks, pretty much the entire lottery, and then the other picks that I liked, and then just go over everything. So Washington Wizards take AJ DeBanza first overall, forward at BYU. I thought was the best player in this class. He definitely has the highest ceiling of any player in this class, if you ask me, or at least amongst the guys that went in the top five. I see a lot of Jaylen Brown in him. Very efficient scorer, can shoot the three, should be a very good defender. I think will be an excellent player in this league. Second overall, Utah Jazz take guard Darren Peterson from Kansas. Peterson does worry me. He seems like a guy that buys his own hype. He's been talking a lot of smack leading up to the draft about AJ DeBansta and just about himself, hyping himself up. And just there was a report that he didn't want to play with Utah. Wasn't going to visit with them. And he came out that he did visit with them, and it went well. Yeah, said multiple times he thinks he's better than AJ DeBansta. I do think he is a very talented player. He's going to be an elite three-level scorer at his peak. He's a guy who might, you could argue, have a higher floor than the DeBansta, but definitely has a much lower floor. So he's a bit of a boomer bust guy, but he does worry me a little bit. But at his best, he should be an elite scorer. Utah with him, Ace Bailey, Laurie Markin, Jaren Jackson Jr., and if Walker Kessler comes back, that's a team that's going to be good defensively, has a ton of size, will grab a lot of rebounds, and now you get a really talented scorer who can handle the ball. Utah, if they can build a legit bench, could be a sneaky team that could take a step forward and finally get at least to the top 10 and into the play and hopefully to the top 8 in the Western Conference next year. The Memphis Grizzlies take Cameron Boozer, power forward out of Duke, third overall. Not completely sold on Boozer, but he definitely has the talent to be very good. I think fits Memphis really well. They needed a combo big, and they get one. Boozer's a guy who's going to be a really good rim protector, good athlete, pretty good scorer. Three-point shot is a work in progress. Could get better. If it does, he's going to be a really, really good player. He's just really good in the pick and roll. Will be good defensively. I think is exactly what Memphis needs. Zach E just isn't it, and Karen Boozer could get the big men that they really, really need. This is a team that's going to probably have to build one piece at a time. But you took Cedric Howard last year, who was very good as a rookie. Hopefully you can get something for John Morant. You got all those picks for Desmond Bain. You got all those picks for Jaren Jackson. This team is trying to rebuild the right way, and now you get what could be a future all-star in Cameron Boozer. Troubles at fourth overall. Take Caleb Wilson, power forward out of UNC. I like this kid a lot. If he ends up being the best player in this draft, honestly, it wouldn't completely shock me. This kid's a 6'10", power forward from UNC. Averaged 19 and 9 last year. Got hurt at the end of the year. Really hurt North Carolina. Health is something to look out for. But if he's healthy, I think he'll be a great player. Really great scorer. Can shoot. Should be able to defend the rim really well. Really good rebounder. For the Bulls, don't hate what they're doing. You have a couple of young guards there. Josh Giddey is a really good player. If Rob Dillion can turn to something, you now have two legit big men. You went out and traded for Nick Claxton right before the draft from Brooklyn, who's an 11 and 9 guy, good rebounder. Now you get a really talented player in Caleb Wilson. There's something there in Chicago. And the Clippers at 5 take Keaton Wagner, guard out of Illinois. Very point guard heavy draft. I like Keaton Wagner a lot. He's one of the best shot creators in this entire draft. Maybe the best shot creator in this entire draft. Him and Darius Garland and Benedict Morford. There's a lot of really good, young, talented shot creators with the Los Angeles Clippers. And if they can get a haul for Kawhi Leonard, get back some draft picks for Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi's still an amazing player, but, 34, 35-year-old player on the Clippers who hasn't won anything with them, might as well trade him, especially on an expiring salary. This is a team that could finally be heading in the right direction. That was a very good pick by the Clippers. Sixth overall, the Brooklyn Nets take Michael Brown Jr., point guard out of Louisville. I really thought the pick was Darius Akeff Jr. here. I think they really needed a guy like him who can score at all three levels, can really space the floor, and spread some of these young guys out on the floor. But I do like Michael Brown Jr., very shifty, really good shot creator, really good ball handler. This gives him a legit number one ball handler. Does take some pressure off of all the young guards they have, like Nolan Troyer and Igor Demin. And this was a good pick. I really don't thought the pick was Darius Acuff Jr. I think he's the better prospect, but Michael Brown Jr. I think will be very good. Seventh overall, the Sacramento Kings takes Darius Acuff Jr. out of Arkansas. This kid's gonna be really good. I love this kid out of Arkansas. I thought he was one of the five best players in this class. I think I actually had him ranked third or fourth in this class. He goes at seven to the Kings. The Kings need to tear that thing apart. They got to try to get something from Levine and DeMar and Sabonis, even Malik Monk. But now this gives you something to build around. Darius Acuff is an elite shooter, a great scorer of the basketball. Was great at Arkansas last year. A big part of the Arkansas team that had a legit run in the March Madness tournament under Coach Cal last year. Coach Cal is famous for sending a lot of really great players to the league. When he was at Kentucky, he's continued to do it at Arkansas. Arkansas turning into a really good program. I think Darius Acuff will have a lot of success with the Sacramento Kings. Hopefully, the Kings will ruin his career like they do with pretty much everybody else. But Darius Acuff Jr., seventh overall to the Kings, like to pick a lot. Atlanta Hawks at 8 take guard Kingston Flemings out of Houston. This is one of my favorite picks of the entire first round. Kingston Fleming is going to be really good. Really good point guard. Should be able to defend. Great ball handler. Good scorer. This is exactly what Atlanta needed out of a lead ball handler. You get one for Jamin Johnson. I'm expecting Jonathan Kuminga to come back. You have all these other young pieces like Asa Newell we really haven't seen much of yet. Maybe you take a step forward. And Dyson Daniels, Okengwu at the 5. If they can get one more big man in there, legit power forward in there, Atlanta could be a really scary team next year. I love the Kingston Flemings pick. Ninth overall with Dallas Mavericks take Morez Johnson Jr., power forward out of Michigan. I get that with Dusty May coming in, you want to take a Michigan guy. There were a bunch on the board. To me, this was the third best Michigan player on the board. So I think I think Morez could be a pretty good player. And I know PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively all have injury concerns. But it's still a good collection of bigs when they're healthy. With Kyrie coming back, with Cooper Flagg in the fold. I think if they were to take a wing, like a Nate Ahmet, I think they would have been in a better position. I think Jax Lendeborg, his Johnson Jr.'s teammate at Michigan, would have made more sense. That would allow you to maybe move Klay Thompson to a six-man role, which is what he should be at this point in his career. Maybe allows you to make him expendable. Maybe allows you to trade Kevin Martin or Najee Marshall for some salary relief and some draft capital, maybe a bench player to help you this year. So I didn't love the Morris Johnson Jr. pick personally. 10th overall, the Bucks is their actual pick. They take Braden Berry's guard out of Arizona. I like this a lot. If you're the Bucks, you're not going to be too competitive for the next 2 seasons. I don't think until like 28, 29 is the year where I think is when you start to really compete. And then 29, 30 is when you try to contend. You're going into obviously a massive rebuild after the Giannis trade. This gives you, and then you have a bunch of guards. You already picked up Tyler Hero and Nakasonis from the Heat. You have one or two guys already there. But this gives you a plethora of talent that you can evaluate for a year. I heard they may still trade Tyler Hero, so that's still on the table. And, if any of you realize, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen, you can trade Tyler Hero. You can trade one of these guys for something else that benefits your team and even more draft capital. So I do like this pick. I think Braden Berry is going to be a very good player. 11th overall, Golden State Warriors select Yaxel Lendeborg, forward out of Michigan. Like this a lot. He's gonna be a really good player. Was one of my favorite players in college basketball last year. I think this guy's gonna be a beast. Really great rebounder, really good defender, solid scorer. If his three-point shot comes along, this is gonna be an All-NBA player. Even if it doesn't, I think this will be a good player. Golden State has an ancient roster, and then you get a really good young player in there who can succeed Draymond Green at the power forward position whenever he hangs him up, which hopefully is soon because he is not worth the headache anymore for the Golden State Warriors, if you ask me. 12th overall, Oklahoma City Thunder take a day Mara center out of Michigan. This is a really interesting pick. I like Mara. He has shut up boards since the combine. You know you're going to get with this guy. He's 7'3", has a crazy wingspan. He's not going to score a whole lot. He's never going to space the floor ever. But it's going to be an elite rebounder, an elite rim protector, and a really good lob threat. That's, I think, something that's important when you have a guy like SGA on your roster. That makes you a little bit more dangerous on both ends of the court. I wonder if Isaiah Hartenstein gets traded because he's a $28.5 million team option. Team that's right up against the second apron. It's going to be interesting to see if a day Mara gets traded from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, if Isaiah Hartenstein gets traded, and they roll with a day Mara and Chet Holmgren, but I think this is a good pick. I like a day Mara a lot. The 13th pick that the Bucks acquired from the Heat in the Giannis trade, they take Nate Ament, forward out of Tennessee. I like this pick. I have seen in the past that he's not my favorite prospect. He's so raw. He needs to improve from three-point range, but I truly think he can develop a legit three-point shot. He's a really good athlete, a long, lanky 6'8" wing. If he were to go to a team like, Golden State, that next year is going to try and compete and win as much as they can, I don't think it would have benefited him. But being on a team like Milwaukee that's not going to compete a whole lot for probably the next 2 years at least, and he'll have time to really develop, I think that's going to be very beneficial for Nate Ament. And again, now with this whole you got from Miami, all the young pieces that you pick up in that trade and through this draft, Milwaukee now gives himself like 7 or 8 young players that all have a good amount of talent that, a bunch of them I think have all-star potential and they can really evaluate all these guys. And so I do think this is a solid pick by the Milwaukee Bucks. So which one they all meant? Most mocks had him going no later than like 10. They got him at 13. So this is good value. 14th overall, the Charlotte Hornets take Haynes Steinbach from Washington. I think he'll be a solid player. I think Charlotte's done a good job drafting. They definitely missed on Saloon a few years ago. But you knocked it out of the park with LaMelo, sitting with Concanepo last year. People had concerns about Concanepo. Those are put to bed. When Brandon Miller is healthy, he's really good. You've gotten some steals like Diabate and Kalkbrenner, even Zion James, I think, can be a good player. I'm not sure if Liam McNeil will ever be good, but to get him and the first for Mark Williams is very good value. And now Haynes Steinbach, I think, could be a solid player. 15th overall, Bulls take Dylan Swain, guard out of Texas. Now I'm not going to go over every pick, just the ones that I really, really liked. The Thunder do it again. They make a swap with the Grizzlies. They originally had 17. They end up making a trade to getting the 16th pick, and they send the Grizzlies 2 second-rounders to get Bennett Starks, point guard out of Iowa. I like Bennett Starks a lot. He's one of my favorite players in the March Madness tournament. He's a really solid point guard. Very good ball handler. He's got really good court vision, really good passer. This was a good pick. This is a team that now, obviously, Nikola Topic, you're thinking is going to be part of the rotation next year from our top 10 pick 2 years ago, was injured all of his first year. Second year, he actually had testicular cancer, really just had a really just unfortunate circumstance to start his NBA career. But got healthy before the end of the year and did play a little bit down the stretch and has a lot of talent. So I'm really excited to see what he does next year for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Definitely rooting for him. And that's another talented young guard in the fold for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I like Bennett Starks a lot. Seems like a really good kid. I think will do well in Oklahoma City. And again, they're so deep, they don't have to throw this guy out there and play him 30 minutes a night. He can be part of their third unit, play 10 minutes a night, and they can work him in, year by year. Doesn't even really have to play any playoff minutes next year. It's a good pick by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And with the pick that they sent to the Grizzlies, Uh, Actually, Memphis sent it to Detroit. So Detroit picks up Bucka Okorie from Stanford. I like the Hornets taking Christian Anderson. That's take a sec the forward. I think they rode into the power forward and they get one. That was a good job by the Hornets. I like the Spurs taking Jaden Quaintance, the power forward. The pick of the Memphis could get from Detroit in this whole swap was Kareem Lopez at 21, which I like a lot from New Zealand. I thought he actually go a little higher. I like Kareem Lopez a lot. Sixers have, to me, one of the steals of the draft, getting LeBaron Philon Jr. guard out of Alabama. They do already have two really good young guards in Tyrese Maxey and then VJ Edgecombe. But LeBaron Philon is going to be very good. I think this is an absolute steal, getting him at 22. And again, maybe this means in a year or two you look to trade Tyrese Maxey and get a big haul for him in a year or two, and you roll with VJ and LeBaron. If nothing else, LeBaron could be a guy who's in the race for both Rookie of the Year and Sixth Man of the Year next season. Atlanta Hawks take Zuby Eliofer forward from St. John's. I like his pick for Atlanta. Zuby, I think, will be a solid player. Typical Patina player, really good defender, really good rebounder, tough player. Offensive game is a major work in progress, but I think Atlanta has enough young talent where they do not have to throw him out there 30 minutes a night right away. I think he'll be a good fit for Atlanta. I like that pick. The Knicks played a lot of hot potato with their picks at 24. They took Cameron Carter, the guard from Baylor, and they sent him to the Lakers for pick 25 and some cash. I do like Cameron Carr. I think he'll be a solid guard. The Lakers pick him up. And then with the pick they got from the Lakers, they originally took Sergio Dellera from Valencia. They sent him to Dallas. I like Dallas picking up Sergio Dellera. He should be a very good shooter. And the Spurs make a trade with the Nuggets. They send the Nuggets their second round pick, and they pick up Terrence Reed Jr., big man from UConn. That's a really underrated pick by the San Antonio Spurs. Terrence Reed is an elite rebounder, a really good defender, really good around the rim. He had a 30 and 20 game in the tournament for UConn. I think he's going to be an excellent number two center behind Victor Wembanyama. This allows you to maybe run some double bigs with him and Wembanyama, maybe Luke Cornett in there. So now you have three legit big men. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama, can't stand the guy, but he is a superstar player and going to be the face of the league. Luke Cornett is a solid backup big man, and now you add an elite rebounder and rim protector in Terrence Reed Jr. in this draft. And you both Celtics take Christian Ack Jr. at 27. I think Brett Stevens did it again. I think this is a steal. I think Christian Ack Jr. is a very good player. I think he'll be a really solid guard in this league. They had another talented young player to their rotation. The Nets pick up Joshua Jefferson from Minnesota. That's a good move. Excuse me, I'm reading this wrong. That was the pick they got from Julius Randle. They got along with Julius Randle. That's a good pick. He's a very solid forward with good size. I think that was a good pick by the Nets. Played very well last year. The Kings pick up 29 from the Cavs in exchange for their second round pick. They take another Connecticut player, Alex Caravan. I think it's a solid player. I don't think Caravan's ceiling is that high, but he'll be a good defender. He played a lot of college basketball. He won back-to-back national championships. No, I think it's a decent pickup for the Kings. And Phoenix picks up Koa Pete. Originally, the Knicks made a trade with Dallas to get this pick, and then he ends up getting sent to Phoenix. I like that for the Phoenix Suns to pick up Koa Pete. I think he should be a very solid big man, and they add him. And you look at that team, Alex Devin-Booker is a star. You have two good young guards in Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. Both had career years last year. You have a couple of young guys there. You have a young big man in Kaman Malok, who I like. Mark Williams is there. I don't love Mark Williams, but good athlete, good rebounder. You have him there. You have one or two other young pieces I like. And then you pick up Koa Pete from Arizona, who I think will be a good player. So I like what Phoenix has done these last 2 years. So that's the first round. As for the Knicks, I do like them stocking picks. I think Leon Rose figures he's had a lot of success in the second round. He drafted Deuce McBride in the second round. He drafted Mo Diawara, who the Knicks like a lot, in the second round. So he's had a lot of success in drafting in the second round. And also, he's used second round picks to get some of these players. He created a couple of twos to get Josh Hart, who is a massively important piece to our team. He included a second round pick to get OG Anunoby, who the next would not have won a championship without, of course. So this gives him 5 second round picks over the next 2 years. They have the first pick of the second round tonight. So we'll see what he does with that. They also have pick 47. They got from the Suns in the Koa Pete deal. And they also have pick 55, which is their original pick. So you have 3 picks. He trades these seconds a lot. He'll probably do trade at least one of them. I think they're looking to trade 31. I really think there's a couple of players that the Knicks could take that could really help them. I'd say Evans to me is the best player available on the board. The wing from Duke, really good 3-and-D guy. If you lose Landry Shamet, he's a perfect replacement. So we'll see what he does there. There's a big man from UNC on the board. I forget his name. If he can get there to 47, that'll be a player that you could take. And 55, either a dart throw piece or something you flip for a second round next year or the year after. But you got like I think 2 or 3 extra seconds for next year as well. So we'll see what happens. But those are probably the top players available in this draft still. That was the NBA first round draft recap from last night. That's all we got for you guys today. Until next time, so long and have a great day.